Bitcoin continues its dump. The SEC seeks to appeal a judge's decision in its case against Ripple Labs. And another Phantom project shutters its doors due to hacks. All this and more on today's exciting episode of Breaking Bitcoin. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Breaking Bitcoin Market Update, your daily source for cryptocurrency trading, education, and analysis. My name is Justin Wise, lead analyst and senior mentor at KrakenCryptocurrency.com. Hopefully everybody is doing absolutely fantastic wherever you happen to be and however you happen to be watching this wonderful show. Whether you're long, whether you're short, we'll all make money together. Let's get this money. Before we begin, if you want to support the show, make sure to subscribe so you never miss a single episode, and smash that like button like it owes you a few Ethereum back from the pre-sale, like they got your wallet address. They actually claimed before you did. It should have been your money. You could have been a millionaire now. That's how hard I need you to smash that like button, like you would hit that person. Of course, links down in the description, everything you could possibly need, our free guide, the link to copy trade me, and as well information on how to join the premium trading group to maximize your trading success. All right, we've got a lot to talk about today. Of course, we are going to be talking about SpiritSwap. We're going to be talking about inflation. We're going to be talking about Bitcoin. We're going to be talking about the SEC. So much to talk about. If you guys have questions as we proceed along with this amazing journey together, please feel free to put them in the live chat. I will respond to them as soon as I can. We will do chart requests at the end of the show, so go ahead and get them in so I know what to queue up and have ready for you guys. All right, well, let's get started with today's breakdown. We're going to be starting off with Bitcoin, as we are wont to do. And we will pull open the big chart. We can get rid of Quadriga, and we can just keep this nice and easy on the weekly time frame, as we have been discussing. Weekly time frame, things are relatively easy here. Shout outs to Ernest of Gaia and Alex81SG in the live chat, by the way. Thanks, guys, for queuing up. Okay, weekly time frame, things are relatively simple here. I've been very, very consistent, almost like a parrot about this, just repeating myself. Bitcoin wants to go down. So on the weekly time frame, we have crossed and closed below. Price is closed below the weekly baseline that I utilize. This is a Hall Moving Average 60, very simple tool. Anybody can utilize it. 85% of the time when the weekly candle closes underneath the Hall 60, we continue moving down. There, of course, there is 15% of the time where we do not do that. But the only historical example since 2017 of us doing that was a couple of months ago when we briefly closed underneath. And then we immediately pumped right back up to just kind of hang down and drop back down again. So we might see something like that. However, the evidence does suggest that we should be moving down. And that is also in line with our 4-year cycle thesis that following a Bitcoin bear market, we have a capitulation bottom. That was the FTX collapse. And then we rally powerfully. And once we put in that rally off the bottom, we never go lower than that low. All right. We've never done it. Doesn't mean we can't do it, but we've never done it. All right. So that would put us in line for a retrace down to about 20,000. And then we queue up for the bull run of 2024, 2025. And everybody's happy. That's ideally our big prognostication, what we're looking for. Okay. With that in mind, analyzing in and out of the money, of course, we can see that there are a couple price areas of interest, and we'll mention those after we're done with our daily and meso time frame analysis. So zooming down to the daily, we had discussed, of course, when Bitcoin made this up thrust above several days ago, of being very cautious about taking that long right out of the gate with everything that was going on, especially with CPI coming up, which was just released today. And so far, we've seen a negative response, both from lack of follow through on this pump. And then, of course, today with no positive reaction, even though the stock market is moving up positively today with the positive CPI numbers that came out. You know, you can argue that they're positive. They're kind of not positive, but we'll discuss all that here in just a little bit. But here on the daily time frame, we are trading above the daily baseline, same Hall 60. But there's no trade on the table. Even though Minx is above the zero line, we have no signal from WADA, so there is no justification to be going swing long. At this point in time, I do need to see actually price continuing to move up. And a break of 30,000, a close above 30,000, I think would be quite strong. Breaking of 30,000, we go to 32,000 almost immediately, if not 34, 37. Okay. And there is some evidence for that, which we will go over. 4-hour time frame. Do we really have anything here? No. Again, kind of double top here. Actually, swing failure pattern, and then breakdown right here. So that would have been a good trade. This is a nice swing failure pattern, and then we trade below that low. You could initiate the trade here. You didn't need a lower time frame, of course, to initiate that. And life is pretty good for you here. We just closed under the 4-hour baseline. And so we do need to reclaim 29,567 to even begin looking bullish on the 4-hour. On the hourly is relatively interesting because we are getting a short signal on the hourly time frame. We actually got one. We should already be in a short right here. And if you would have just taken this signal, you would have already hit TP1. So here we can see on this bar, we close below the baseline. Minx crosses below 0, and we get a WADA signal. So if we just kind of jump back to that bar and throw our stop and target system on, we can see that our first take profit would have been 29,345. And if we just mark that out and then get rid of Quadriga, so this red line here would be the take profit. And then we can just jump forward. Sorry, we can just turn replay off. And yeah, we would have just hit that take profit just now, just a few moments ago. All right, cool. So all's well and good. I don't really see, even though the hourly is oversold. So I was looking at this. I was actually contemplating taking a long position, and we'll get into that here in just a little bit. But I'm not going to bottom scrape here. I'm not going to bottom dip. I am going to, I'm going to be very patient here. All right. Even though this is a hammer candle, I'm being very patient here. So not swinging long yet at this point in time. Okay. That's about it on Bitcoin. Of course, we'll look at Ethereum as well on the weekly time frame. Very similar scenario, just listing lazily down into the right below the weekly baseline. I haven't done any such analysis on Ethereum as with Bitcoin because I tend to just trade Bitcoin. But so I cannot tell you if 85% of the time we continue heading lower on Ethereum. All I do know is that 99% of the time Ethereum does whatever Bitcoin does, just with generally more volatility. But lately it's been more volatility to the downside because Bitcoin is of course Ethereum, excuse me, is of course underperforming Bitcoin. Here is the ETH Bitcoin chart. You can see that essentially Ethereum to Bitcoin has been a relatively volatile, like 60% volatile stablecoin over the last couple of years. So we really haven't been able to make any significant progress. No breakouts of Ethereum's valuation relative to Bitcoin, which is currently sitting at 0.088, with significant support down here at 0.056. All right. Now we are getting pretty close to that 0.056, at which a swing trade, a specific swing trade, swapping your Ethereum for Bitcoin and then converting back into Bitcoin when Ethereum Bitcoin has risen is on the table. We are trading in a descending channel. So just looking for a breakout of that or the weekly to cross back above the weekly baseline here. I mean, or God forbid, just any kind of trading signal here would be fantastic. But right now we don't have anything on the ETH Bitcoin chart. And of course, ETH USDT is slightly unattractive to trade because Bitcoin is outperforming it. So why would you trade Ethereum when Bitcoin is outperforming Ethereum right now? So doesn't make too much sense to me. On the daily time frame, beautiful reversal baseline bounce short setup. We actually talked about this yesterday. That's why it's on my red watch list. We did get a PTP short signal right here on this candle, which did lead to at least a TP1 on the daily time frame. And we had a beautiful opportunity for re-entry the last 2 days. You could even enter today. I don't see a problem with that. I would like to see, I mean, if we were waiting for a signal right now, we would like to see a 2 lines cross, and a signal from Minx would be good to see at this point in time. But I'm pretty much okay with where things are right now. So reversal baseline bounce and tight invalidation of Ethereum closes above the daily baseline. So basically shorting right now, and any closes above 1868, we would be closing that position out. I think that's justified. Nothing here on the 4-hour time frame, and on the hourly time frame, we're actually getting that very same short signal right now, hourly short signal, just as we are getting on Bitcoin. So very interesting because typically we actually do see positive price movement following from Bitcoin following a positive CPI data, but we're just not seeing that today. Okay, let's get into what we're going to be covering for news today. And that's looking good. Okay. All right. So the first thing we're going to be talking about is, of course, inflation. So this is coming from USA Today Money. The title of this article is CPI Report Live Updates. Inflation ticks higher in July for the first time in 13 months as rent climbs, data shows. Now, you will remember that a couple of days ago, and even yesterday too, I believe, I had talked about the European Union's dire warning that was issued to the United States. And the reason, or what this warning was, if you will recall, or if you can't recall, basically what we've been seeing for the past 12 months is inflation ticking down and the Federal Reserve taking the stand that what they're doing is working, that they are taming inflation, that inflation is coming down, that it's the lowest we've seen in 2 years. Even Biden got on the news and made an announcement after the CPI data saying inflation is the lowest it's been in 2 years. But here's the thing. Over in the UK, inflation, I believe it's either the UK or Germany. But either way, inflation spiked basically out of nowhere, so to speak, higher than it had been previously, right? Like took out the previous high. And this led to a warning to the United States, basically that, hey, if you think inflation is over or that it's going to be easy to tame, you're wrong, because we just saw a massive spike. And now we have just seen the first increase in inflation for the past 13 months. And Peter Schiff came out on Twitter saying that he didn't even believe in these numbers, but that we were going to see, Peter Schiff's prediction is that we are going to see inflation continue to climb moving forward throughout 2023 due to surging oil prices, which certainly is a concern. We are starting to see prices go back up at the pump, which is not positive for anybody who wants to live their life. We just want to see low prices. I remember when gas was under $2. I remember when gas was under $1 when I was very, very young. But, times change. Okay, so what are the actual numbers? So July's year-over-year inflation statistics came in at 3.2%. 3.2%. Now, this is slightly lower, very slightly lower, than the analyst expectations, which were predicting 3.3%. So we were already predicting an increase, and we did come in underneath the analyst expectation, which is good. Like coming in underneath analyst expectations is considered to be a positive and bullish sign. Now, core year-over-year inflation is sitting at 4.7%. So you could, excuse me, guys. The argument here is that overall core inflation, what really matters, is up 4.7%. Okay. Now, because we did get something of a positive that we were coming in underneath analyst expectations, we are seeing positivity from the stock market. Sorry, guys. Oh, I turned it off. We are seeing a little bit of positivity from the stock market. We are seeing a little bit of renewed risk appetite in the stock market as buyers step in. Unfortunately, Bitcoin is still trading contrarily to this positive news. So in summary, it is likely that we are not seeing the taming of inflation. It is likely that we are going to see very high rates for a significantly longer period of time. And it's unclear what longer term impact that may or may not have on Bitcoin's price. Okay. And we're going to talk a little bit more about inflation and CPI prints and Bitcoin here in just a little bit when we get back to our TA. But let's get through this first. All right, next. We'll be talking about this next. All right, so this is coming from Cointelegraph. And we are seeing another Phantom project shuttering their doors. Now, I know that there are a lot of Phantom fans in the audience. We have had a lot of Phantom lovers on stream and in our community, of course. And so, and I've been always very positive of Phantom. It's been a wild ride. Andre Crony and Tomb and everything that was going on Phantom and everything. And our senior analyst, Alex, was very heavily into the Phantom ecosystem. But it does seem as if the Phantom ecosystem is dying. And unfortunately, it's mostly due to multi-chain. So multi-chain was a very large cross-chain liquidity bridging system. And yeah, they got very, 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 very much exploited. Okay. So SpiritSwap, which was one of the larger dexes on Phantom, they announced yesterday that they would be winding down operations beginning September 1st. So for those unfamiliar, SpiritSwap was a decentralized exchange or DEX built on the Phantom ecosystem. They revealed on Discord yesterday that last month's multi-chain hack drained their treasury completely, leaving them unable to continue financing operations. So SpiritSwap is definitely going the way of the dinosaur. In fact, in their Discord, they were even saying that they were looking for a team to come over and just take over the project completely. And this is also something that we don't really talk about a lot. You know, I know a lot of developers who have founded projects in cryptocurrency. And unfortunately, a lot of them will get to a point, maybe a year or two in, where they really don't want to do it anymore. I mean, there's so much, you know, stress, and there's so much, you know, put upon these developers of these protocols, when most of these people are just, you know, they're not built for that. They're not, you know, high pressure CEOs who are willing to deal with the ins and outs of business and the demands of millions of people. Like, no, these people are, you know, generally semi-reclusive nerds who were just interested in the technology and built something cool because they're smart enough to do it. Right? They weren't planning on this big, you know, multi-million-dollar thing. So this is something that's, you know, unfortunately not talked about too much, where I think you will often see entrepreneurs in other avenues of tech, for example, just about every other avenue of tech, like love it once they get there to success. When I've met so many cryptocurrency successful individuals in development specifically, who aren't happy when they get there, because that's not what they wanted. They didn't want the corporate bureaucracy and all this stuff, right? Which is when you have a huge project, which is just what naturally comes along with human organization. So anyways, unfortunately, it does seem as if Phantom might be going the way of the dinosaur. TVL on Phantom has dropped dramatically following the multi-chain hack. Phantom, or TVL on Phantom, was $364 million in May, and they currently have just $72 million as of yesterday on the chain, and probably less now with the announcement of SpiritSwap. A lot of that liquidity will be draining off as well, unfortunately. And just, you know, we've seen a lot of excitement and innovation around other chains like Arbitrum, you know, now Arbitrum has Arbitrum Nova and Arbitrum One. Optimism, of course, is going very strong. And then, of course, we have the newer chains like Sui, Aptos. We've got ZK Sync, you know, which ZK Sync Era and ZK Sync Lite. And these are just very exciting projects. Of course, you got ZK EVM on Polygon, all of these kind of things. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I don't want to obviously put the death nail. I don't want to call Phantom dead. I don't want to be one of those people, but it is looking pretty rough, and we need to see somebody come in and save the day, shall we speak. So let me know what you guys' thoughts are, of course, on the Phantom ecosystem. And also let me know, you know, have you made any big money off of Phantom? Of course, you know, I did very well with Tomb, and then made quite a bit of money in Tomb. And then, well, I didn't start off with Tomb. I started off with Davy Jones, which lasted like 3 days. And I got in, I got out, and I had put like $15,000 in, and I turned it into like $75,000 within like 2 days. And that was a lot of fun. And then I went back and hit Tomb, and then I hit 2Ohm for a little bit, but then I got out of 2Ohm very quick, and then I rotated in between different ones, and then I got into yield farming on Phantom, and then I just kind of fell out of it because I just took my money and ran. But that's how you're supposed to do it. So, all right, our next and final article is, of course, going to be on the SEC. As you guys know, the SEC has been locked in a legal battle with Ripple Labs, creators of the XRP token, for quite a while, in a case that is very important, I think, for the cryptocurrency community. Are we just going to get steamrolled? Are all cryptocurrencies just going to get steamrolled by the SEC? Are they going to be able to do whatever they want? Or are we going to stand up to these dudes and be like, no, man, like we are the future and you are the past. Get out of our way. So the SEC is now seeking an interlocutory appeal in their case against Ripple Labs. Specifically, the SEC is appealing a July court decision, which ruled that the sale of XRP is not a security when sold to retail investors. Now, what's very interesting about this is that the SEC doesn't actually have the legal right to file an appeal just yet, which is why they have to ask permission from the court to file what's known as an interlocutory appeal. Okay. Now, just as a reminder, what is this decision that they're appealing? Well, back in July, Judge Annalisa Torres ruled that XRP was not in itself a security. However, she did say that sales of XRP could be securities in certain circumstances, but explicitly not when sold to retail investors on an exchange. So that precedent has been set that the sale of cryptocurrencies, so to speak, or XRP specifically, but more broadly, we can interpret that to other cryptocurrencies. When they're sold to retail investors on an exchange, that is not the sale of a security. Okay, which is pretty interesting. This legitimizes, I think, or opens up the door to legitimizing and maybe breathing new life into another wave of IDOs. So or even ICOs potentially, right? As long as it's handled on exchange, like Launchpad, like Binance does, and other exchanges do right now. So I think this is good. Now, of course, the court could deny this request to file an interlocutory appeal, which would be very powerful. And of course, Ripple has the opportunity to respond to this application. So we're going to be seeing more about this in the next few days. But so far, looking pretty good for XRP. Looking pretty good for XRP. Now, we did notice a little downtick in XRP's price. Of course, XRP had retraced 61.8%, 65%, which is a golden fib retracement from their previous pump on the announcement back in July. So back in July, the announcement came out. They pumped very, very quickly, and it's just basically been trending down ever since then. We hit that important retracement level, and we were moving up. I actually took a long position. We are noticing today a little bit of a sell-off, a little bit of a pullback, and I think that's just in response to them being in the news and maybe this being considered negatively. But overall, I think this is probably positive in general in our fight against the SEC. Okay. Let's get back to Bitcoin, and I do now want to talk specifically about CPI, or inflation, and its effect on Bitcoin's price. So for this, let's actually get here. Oh my, that's a lot, isn't it? There we go. I don't know why it's showing that. It's showing my OBS, which is not what I want. So let's just get rid of that. Okay. Any users. All right. So good. I appreciate the activity in the live chat, guys. Let's just take a gander at that before we move forward here. And okay. Ernest of Gaia, sorry, I did shout outs to you, my friend. Critique says Bitcoin dump. It is essentially looking like that. Prophet Bear says, oh snap, I caught it live. God bless y'all. Sup, Kraken family. Good to see you, Prophet Bear. Let's see here. Jehovah is going to be crashing the stock market to zero. Not just crashing, but to zero. It's all going down. On the 5th of October, 2023. Make sure you get your massive shorts and puts in. Yeah, I will do that, man. Yeah. Alex81SG says, prior CPI was based off of the top of oil prices in June 2022 and the bottom in June 2023. Even oil prices stays flat. Inflation will keep going up. Right. July CPI was a macro bottom, it seems. Yeah. I would agree with that statement. I think that's very intuitive. Yep. Phantom and Harmony are still the best chains I've ever used, along with Solana, cheap AF, never had a transaction, fell very fast. Yeah, I agree. And, I remember back in the day when we would used to use this is back in 2016, 2017, we would use Litecoin to transfer funds basically all the time because it was fast and cheap. But then we started using Harmony. And man, let me tell you, yeah, same thing with Phantom. I found Phantom so pleasant to use, like probably the most pleasant blockchain I've ever used. Yeah, I would agree with you. So a little sad, but hey, these things happen. Okay, so I do want to now talk about CPI and its effect on Bitcoin's price. So typically, just a second here. There we go. So typically, Bitcoin does rally on positive CPI data. And again, it is a little controversial over whether we should or could construe today's CPI data as positive. Again, as Alex just said, it does appear as if last month's CPI data was probably going to be the macro bottom for CPI, and that we are going to continue seeing inflation rise just because of oil prices, which are not going to stay flat. They are going to rise based on the supply and demand in that sector. But so for example, in July, Bitcoin gained 5% in the week leading up to the July 12th CPI release. And then we went on to rally another 4% following that. And that is what actually pushed Bitcoin to this price right here, our 2023 peak. All right. So it was that July CPI data. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. What am I doing? It's right here. It was this July CPI data. You can see that the current high of the year is July 13th, and it was July 12th where the CPI data came out, right? So we had rallied in the weeks leading up to the CPI data, and then the CPI data came out and we rallied again, and that marked the top of this current year. Now, interestingly enough, trading volume has also increased significantly in the last 4 days leading up to today. Trading volume has increased 104%. All right. In addition to that, over 14,500 Bitcoin have been moved off exchanges just in August alone. Now, coins leaving exchanges is typically a bullish sign, as you guys are very well aware of. All right. So I was also analyzing the in and out of the money indicator earlier, which is provided by CryptoQuant. And essentially what that does is it tracks on-chain data to see exactly where people have purchased. And so we can see very important support and resistance levels, right? Like it's really not so much different from VRVP, but it's done on-chain instead of on exchange. So we can see here that we do have some pretty significant buying down here at 29,197. So that's basically our first area of support. But if we lose 29,197, then it's 28,000, guys. It's basically 28,000. Now, to the upside, as you guys can see, we are kind of in this low volume node, which is why we've traveled here so quickly. And now we're basically stuck in this range between 29.2 and 29.8. All right. This is basically the range that we're in. So I'm not really concerned with my short position about any movements up here. That doesn't bother me. What concerns me is breaks above this level of resistance. All right. Because we have a lot of buyers very, very close to the 30,400 mark. And if we are able to overcome that 30,400 mark, then we're going to 32. And if we're going to 32, we're probably going to 34. And if we're going to 34, we're probably going to 37. That's just the next untapped area of liquidity. And that's where the market wants to go. So right now, I remain and maintain a bearish outlook right now currently, until and unless we see a very convincing close above at least 29,800. 29,800, I think probably on principle, you have to swing long to 30,400, 32,000. Even holding your hedge open, I think that's totally fine because we could still get wicked out and faked out up there at the top. But where we're at right now is again, we just had the kind of we've had this anti-correlated, anti-stock market correlation where we've moved down on positive news. And now we are stuck in this range between 29,800 and 29,200. And yeah, so I think we can see bounces here. All right, we can see bounces here. None of that should really worry you or fake you out of your position. Bigger picture overall, where is price going? We can't get much more bigger picture than the weekly time frame, analyzing that we are seeing a little bit of a lack of momentum and the traders are gearing up for these shorts. Plus, we are anticipating that 4-year cycle hypothesis moving down. But yeah. Okay, crypto bubbles. We are seeing some pullbacks in altcoins, but overall not too bad. All right, so for this week, we still have HBAR, Aptos, OKB, which are still up. SHIB, of course. SHIB is actually the one that's probably doing the best. Pulse Chain and Hex, following their massive dumps, have recovered quite a bit, but still nowhere near what we would really want to see, of course, for Pulse Chain and Pulse X. Unfortunately, with the lawsuit against Richard Hart, it's probably going to be quite a while before we can get out from underwater on those positions if you guys are in. Let's see here. Let's do a refresh here and see what's trending today and see if we can find anything very interesting. All right, yeah, so obviously CPI moons, BRICS Denmark. Why is Denmark trending? The word Denmark is trending recently in discussions on Reddit. The topic being discussed is the difference in income taxes and capital gains taxes between Denmark and the US. All right, so apparently a lot of people are talking about taxes. Yeah, we've got the weakening of the Indian rupee. Yeah, Moon, Aptos. Yeah, okay. So basically what's trending today is conversations about inflation, Denmark and RBI, of course, SEC's appeal, and then, of course, still Aptos following their partnership with Microsoft. Moon and Bricks are still very much in conversation, and I understand why, because this is weighted on Reddit. But I don't see any other assets or anything that's really trending. Let's go to my screener. No, I'm not really seeing anything that catches my interest. That's all just regular stuff. All right, so here we go. Like I said, we did get that hourly short signal, and we are just continuing to grind down. Like I said, I was looking at potentially taking a long position, but then I just kind of took a long, hard look at myself, and I was like, why? And I realized that the only justification I could give myself for why I wanted to take a long is like, well, we got like price positive like inflation data, and usually like price like, you know, rises on positive data. Like maybe I should just take, you know, just take a long, right? And then I slapped myself. All right, nice and short and sweet. I basically covered everything that I wanted to cover. Let me know if you guys have any questions, chart requests, anything you want to talk about. If not, we're going to head for the door. But before that, of course, we are going to self-promote. So trigger warning, we're going to run some ads here, not normal ads, but we're just going to tell you about all the ways you can help out the community. First off, if you guys enjoy the show and you want to support the stream, if you want to help the stream grow, then the best thing you could possibly do is subscribe, hit that notification bell, and smash the like button like a Doji Money. You have no idea how much that helps us out. Interestingly enough, I was going over our metrics, and it seems that a lot of people do actually use the share button here on YouTube to share our content around the internet, which is really great. So sharing obviously helps us out tremendously. If you are newer to trading, or if you're newer to building your own strategy and you want to experience greater success, I highly recommend downloading my free guide, The 5 Mistakes Holding You Back from Profitable Trading. I've distilled the last 5 years of my knowledge into that book. And it is just a simple, free, easy primer for you to get your strategy on track and avoid the 5 most common mistakes that I see traders make in the cryptocurrency market specifically. If you want to copy trade me, also for free, you can do that. Link down there. You can copy trade me on Fairdesk when I win. And so far, we've been winning pretty handsomely. And if you want more hands-on help with your strategy creation process, or you just want to be in a community of like-minded traders, no better place than the premium trading group. Link for that is also down in the description. But whatever you do, make sure to join our Discord. That is also down there. All right, I think that's basically everything out of the way. That's a lot. Alex81SG says, how about Base? Oh, we're talking about Base Chain. $70 million in TVL move there. Already surpassed Aptos, Alga, Near, Kanto, Sui, and many other big names. Yeah, I don't know too much about, well, I haven't used Base. I'm not super familiar with it. I'm not sure what the opportunities are on it. I stick to my wheelhouse. I'm only good at certain things. So that's what I do. I'm really good at Bitcoin and fundamental analysis. Do you mean like, do you want to look at the chart or like, do you want to look at metrics on Base? I mean, I can certainly like throw my hat in the arena and see what's up. Okay. Yeah, so pretty nice growth of TVL. and volume and fees and rev. And of course, we've got Stargate, Base Swap, Sushi Swap, Rocket Swap, Base, Beefy, Swap Based, Balancer, Uniswap, Overnight Finance, Coconut Swap, SynSwap, Dacky Swap, Maverick, Horizon Dex. We got 41 protocols listed. Ooh, Boobs Finance. I love the Boobs Finance. We could probably just go to Dex Screener and see if we can't like do some sniping, right? Where's Base Chain? It's not on here. You're telling me they got Boba, but they don't got Base? There's no way. There's no way. Oh, there it is, Base. Wow, it was the third one down. Jesus. We got some safe base pumping, Golden Boys, Punk, a couple different punks, a couple different golds. Those look very, very speculative to me. Possible tokens to trade on base. I mean, this is where it's at, man. You go to Dex Screener. First off, you go over to YouTube and you watch my video on how to snipe altcoins. And then you just come to base and you do that same process, right? However you want to identify the coins, pull them up, run all your token sniffers, everything. Like this one's got less than $1 of liquidity, so it looks like it already got rugged. Yes, this one already got rugged. This is a bad one. What do we got? Punk. Okay. Unclear, even though we're seeing buys and sells, unclear whether you will actually be able to sell. So what you always need to do, you always have to do it. You have to try and buy a nominal amount first. You have to try and buy a nominal amount and sell a nominal amount. That's the only way to avoid a honeypot. And then, yeah, you just run the token sniffer. You run the honeypot.is, make a nominal buy, and then take your profits. Don't try and 10x on these things. Just looking for like 30%, 50%. And just do that a few times. That's how you snipe. All right, guys. That's about it for today's show. I want to thank everybody for attending today. You guys have been absolutely fantastic. Make sure to smash that like button on your way out, guys, and we will be back tomorrow for our final episode for this week, Friday's breakdown, where we will be analyzing the weekly charts, going through and doing all our TA and getting our game plan ready for Friday. I will see you guys in the Discord. Keep the conversation going long after the show is over. Trade safely, and I will see you guys on the next one. Cheers now.